Hi, I'm Tori Bowman. What does self-care mean to you? It might mean joining a club or a team for a routine of regular physical activity and friendship. It could mean a daily mental health practice that helps you keep calm and balanced regardless of the other challenges life throws your way. Or it may be the support you rely on from your personal network of family, friends, or trusted healthcare team. If you have a disability, the capacity for self-care might be interrupted by significant problems with housing or finances, a lack of social support, or even something like a wound. What does it take to protect your mental health in challenging circumstances? That's what we're talking about today. On this episode of Underestimated, presented by Oatley Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers and brought to you by Spinal Cord Injury Ontario, we're talking about mental health and self-care. Geoff Soloman invites us into his home to discuss his healing wound, what's working, and how he's staying positive and well during challenging circumstances. Oda and Vix Daguman, an artist, streamer, and advocate for people with disabilities, discuss the impact of access to affordable and accessible housing on mental health and well-being. And Oda visits a wheelchair tennis program, the first of its kind in Toronto, to interview Chandrashekhar Kubyal about the many physical and mental health benefits of participating in accessible sport.
My name is Geoff Soloman. I live in Meaford, Ontario. I was born and raised here. Grew up here. I got hurt here when I was 17. Broke my back. Went to Lyndhurst for not long originally, but then I spent many moons there in the 70s as I had umpteen dozen pressure sores, but that on the other hand introduced me to this young student physiotherapist that I met there in the mid 70s, and later on I married her, and we're still married, which is very good. We did live in Toronto for 4 years, but then my father died in 1980 and we moved up here, and I took over the family business selling insurance, which I did for 28 years. I'm now retired and living the life of an old dude. Last fall, I got extremely sick and didn't know what was going on. Turned out I had an abscess of some sort, which in the end of October burst open and revealed this very large sore on my bottom in a very awkward spot. And I spent 6 weeks in the hospital and had various things done to me, and I've now been at home since just before Christmas, spending all of the time in bed. I can sit for a little bit, but I don't sit for very long because I am trying to heal my bottom after all. And initially the plan was I was going to have surgery, and the surgeon saw me in November and said there's no way that she would do anything to it at that time because it was in pretty rough shape. She saw me again in March and agreed that yes, it had healed up to a point where surgery would be good. But then surgery just didn't seem to happen, and the nurses, who have been absolutely fantastic, said, yeah, let's just heal it. And so surgery is now off the table, and I'm laying around waiting for it to heal. Well, lack of mobility has never been a problem for me. I mean, I've often had that. Although in years gone by, I'd spent many, many moons at Lyndhurst, and they always had a banana cart for me, which I don't have here. But back at the beginning when I first had this, it's the first time I've ever had doctors tell me that it was life-threatening. And I will admit that it scared me because I was really sick. But then again, thanks to the excellent nursing care that I was getting even in the hospital, the feeling sick went away within a few weeks, and things started to look up, and they got the wound cleaned up. And the idea was that they were just sort of going to keep it clean and wait for the surgery, but then the home care nurses, as they said, had different ideas. I mean, when I first went into the hospital, I had also tested positive for COVID. So I've got something that's life-threatening. I've got COVID. I can't have any visitors for 10 days. There's not a lot of people to talk with, so I talked to nurses. And I found the ones that I chose to talk to were ones that I'd sort of gotten to know a little bit over a few days and felt they would be people that would listen. I know they didn't have any great ideas as to help me, but they're willing to listen. And that's what I needed more than anything, was just somewhere to vent. Because I was afraid, and I vented to 3 or 4 different people, and that just seemed to be what I needed to get me over the hump and get me back onto the healing ways. As I say, the nursing care, especially in the home care end of it, I've got 2 absolutely fabulous nurses who I can't speak highly enough about. And the fact that I'm home, at first I didn't think this was a good idea, but it is, and I'm home. My wife is doing an amazing job looking after me, and I feel badly about that, because everything is now on her. Now, if nothing else, it will give her an appreciation for what little I do around the house. but you know, she's a trooper, and whether that's her physio background or whether it's just the way she is, I think it's more just the way she is. You know, we do various things. We have things that we like to watch, she and I together. We watch a lot of cycling. And back in 2004, when she first wanted me to watch cycling, I kind of thought, God, watching cycling is kind of like watching paint dry. But then I learned what the sport was about, and then it can be exciting. It can still be kind of like watching paint dry some days, but there are some days it's quite exciting, and we watch a lot of it. It gives us a tour around the world, because we've been in Belgium and Italy and France and Spain and Portugal and Holland and all over Europe. The biggest barriers, the things that the government doesn't tell you are going to get downloaded onto you. The bed that I'm on, for example, fortunately, SCI Ontario has given me a bed and a mattress to use, and it's sort of on permanent loan. But initially, I thought I was going to have to rent it. It's $400 a month, you know, to get what you had in the hospital. I had to go down to London to see the surgeon. When you're in the hospital, that voyage is down and back is covered. When you're at home, it isn't, and it's $2,000. And so there's barriers, plus all of the things. You've now got a bed, which is not your normal bed. You need to buy sheets for the bed, pads to go underneath you. The number of things that we've had to buy just to make this doable. Now, some of them are going to be very useful in the future, but some of them are not. My biggest advice for somebody else who's facing like this is just to take it one day at a time, and try not to let it stress you out, because it can be. I mean, it stresses me out sometimes when I think about all of the things that my wife has to do. But that's really the only thing that stresses me. I mean, my job is to lie here and do what I'm told. And as long as you lie here and do as you're told, then things will get better.
Hello, Vix. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your disability?
Yeah, so I was born premature and my health issues started then, and I didn't really get much help in my early childhood for much of anything. But in my adulthood, I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, hypermobility, and a whole slew of mental health issues. And so I deal with chronic physical pain, nerve pain, joint pain, muscle pain, and fatigue, stomach issues, bladder issues, a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't work. I'm a streamer and an artist, and I try to also do nails when I can. And my focus for nails is other chronically ill people and people who may not be able to access nail salons. Yeah, it's a little bit about me. Well, accessible accommodations have been pretty much impossible to find. Firstly, financially, it's really out of my price range to find anything accessible. Looking for bungalows and things like that have just been impossible because it's completely out of my price range. So I've had to make compromises and think less about the accessibility and more just about affordability. And that has actually brought me out of Toronto because nothing in Toronto is accessible or affordable. So it's been very rough. When you're looking for housing, a lot of the listings will actually say we're looking for a young working professional or something like that. And even just looking at the listings, it's like very intimidating, and I'm afraid to actually disclose my disabilities and disclose the needs that I have. There was one time where I actually was able to set up a viewing, and my chosen sibling and my husband went with me. And they were talking with the landlord first, and the landlord seemed very kind and friendly. And then once I got out with my mobility aids, the attitude shifted. And it was like, oh, well, I don't really know if this is going to work out. And sure enough, we never got called back. We never got any responses after the viewing. And so it was very disheartening. And that's what a lot of the search has been. It's just been trying to put myself out there and then being denied and rejected. And, oh, we're concerned about your safety, they'll say, but they won't actually do anything to make accommodations or to make the place any safer. I spend a lot of my time just in my apartment alone and trying to connect with online people because I can't get out of my house independently and go to visit people. It's really rough. I already deal with mental health problems already, regardless of the housing search. But when I was actually actively searching for housing, it was taking a huge toll on my mental health. I was having mental breakdowns like every day, meltdowns, and it got to a point where I actually had to get out of the house that I was living in, and I had to stay with friends for a period of time because I was just in such a dark place, and it really felt hopeless. Like, I don't have anywhere to go, and what am I supposed to do? And so I had to really rely on support from my loved ones in order to survive that time. I'm really grateful for therapy that I've been through and having access to a counselor. And I was going to a few online support groups, specifically for disabled people, so that I really don't feel so alone with that. really trying to use like video games and online community as my coping was really integral for surviving that time. I think one of the big ones basically is just being able to get in and out of the house without having to use stairs. Like if the house had a door that was wide enough to fit my mobility aids through and was on one level, that would be ideal. And then inside the house as well, being able to go into the bathroom or the kitchen or my bedroom with my mobility aids, having doors that are wide enough, flat surfaces, and things that are a bit lower, like counters that are a bit lower, and things like that that I can actually reach myself. In my place that I'm in right now, in order to go out and do groceries or to go out and do anything really, my husband has to actually take my wheelchair, fold it up, put it in the car, and then help me up the stairs. And then I have various mobility aids that I need in order to go up and down the stairs. And by the time I'm through that, I'm exhausted. So I barely have any energy to go out and enjoy what I'm doing. And then when I'm actually in my home by myself, it's actually quite difficult to use the bathroom and to use like the things that are there, like my sink. Brushing my teeth is really difficult because it's quite high up. And so I have PSW services that come and help give me a shower and help make sure that I'm safe when I'm using the bathroom. I'm constantly budgeting my energy. Like if I'm planning to have a visitor or planning to go see someone, I have to consider how much energy it's going to take to use the bathroom and how much energy it's going to take to just use the stairs and get outside. And then will I have enough energy to actually do the thing that we're planning to do? It's exhausting.
Yeah, I think builders taking into account accessible accommodations is really important, not just for people with disabilities, but also seniors and others who could use things like that, right?
Absolutely. Find your supports, because trying to go through a housing search by yourself is really rough on your mental health. So finding those who can support you, whether it's online support groups or psychiatrists, mental health professionals, loved ones, but people who are understanding and who understand your accommodation needs and can help advocate for you as well. Disabled people exist. We exist in all shapes and forms and ages. We're not just the elderly, and it would be amazing to be able to raise a family in an accessible home, to have the things that I need. And it's really disheartening to see how many of the new houses and stuff are being built with, again, stairs, and just like even to go into a house, there's so many stairs. So please consider us, because there's a lot of us out there and we need accessibility. This is not just something that we want, this is something that we need for our well-being. And it would just be amazing to be able to live as a human being and share life with each other without having to be barred at every step.
Mental health and physical activity go hand in hand. Today I'm at the Lamoureux Tennis Center and we're going to hit the courts. Chandra, can you tell me a little more about yourself and what your injury is?
Yeah, hi, I'm Chandrashekhar. So I'm a software engineer by profession, and I work for a multinational company in Toronto. And at the age of 10, I was diagnosed with something called scoliosis. So scoliosis is nothing but a curvature in the spine, wherein my spine is a little bit in the shape of an S alphabet. And I was 10 years old then. So they suggested for a surgery. So during the process of the surgery, wherein they put a Harrington rod to fix or straighten the spine, during the procedure, they injured the spinal cord at T3 level. And then I lost my mobility and sensation below the chest level. And apart from that, we have issues with the bladder and the bowel and sensation loss and all that stuff. But the same night they did another surgery and removed the rod, but it did not help much. So from the last 38 years, I'm on the wheelchair with multiple times in the hospital for various surgeries and pressure sores and everything. But right now I am living with a spinal cord injury.
So how has physical activity been important for you, and when did you learn about this program at the Lamoureux Tennis Center?
I was introduced to tennis by my friend, and it is nice actually. So every person, like when you are in a wheelchair, you're confined to a wheelchair, and you have you are always within the four walls of your home. But then there is necessity and with the work pressure and the pressure of the social pressure and all that stuff, so you need some time to break out of the routine. And I was looking for some sport, okay? And then my friend introduced me to tennis. It's a Monday, every Monday I come here to play tennis, and it makes a little bit of difference. You break the routine, and this kind of a sport gives you freedom. Okay, it keeps you fit. It keeps you connected with everyone. You can make new friends, and it also helps you in burn some calories. So you have people who come to play here, maybe with the spinal cord injury or maybe cerebral palsy, or they could be amputees, anyone. And once you are on the chair and playing it, that there is no barrier, right? So everybody is able to access the same court, and you have the racket and the ball. And when you are with the people, with the different age groups of people, it's much benefit and advantages also. You can learn more things. There's a lot of things which the younger generation teaches us, and also I can get the experience from the senior people also. It gives an opportunity for the physically challenged, the people who are in a wheelchair, to come outside, play some tennis, and get some relaxation and recreation together.
So it helps with the sense of community and physical activity, and it's good for your mental health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it helps you with connecting with the people, making some new friends, and it just gives you a little bit more freedom. You enjoy the game also.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who wants to become active and join a program like this? What kind of advice do you have for people?
So any physical activity which we do, okay, in spite of being on the chair. See, when you are on the chair and on top of it you are working as a professional, so you will have a lot of pressure, like work pressure, and then the pressure of your own physical disability. Okay, so something like a sport, like for example tennis itself, okay, it takes you out of that mentality, out of that routine, and helps you to relax, become stress free,
Right.
and it will help you to just at least for those 2 hours when you are playing the game, you are out of all that stuff. As I said, like when you are on a wheelchair, you're confined to your own home. So your own mind is your barrier for you. You just try to break it out, come outside the house, try to mingle with the people, and that's how you make friends, right? Once you talk to someone. And when you have friends, then the whole picture changes.
You have people to relate to, people who
Yes.
understand what you're going through.
Exactly. And when you have people with any kind of people you mingle with, you make friends with, but if they are also on the wheelchair and they are on the same boat, they understand each other very easily. So that's how it goes. If you are interested to come into this tennis program, you need to, first of all, you need to do the procedure of registering yourself with the onpara.net, and then you become a member, and then you connect with the center for become a part of this program. This is not difficult, okay? Unless you try, you won't know. But when I was meaning I had some doubts on myself whether I'll be able to play or no. But when I started playing it, I think it's much better, and it gives you a lot of confidence to not only with the game but with other things also.
If you'd like to learn more about wheelchair tennis, or even wheelchair rugby or wheelchair basketball, and where to get the equipment to get started, check out onpara.ca.
We hope we've left you feeling both inspired and motivated to build a self-care practice into your life. I want to thank all of our guests for sharing their stories and inviting us into their lives. To learn more about our show, visit rogerstv.com/underestimated or visit courtree.com. I'm Tori Bowman, and we'll see you next time.